please welcome KEVA Health.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank BTN for inviting us to come and present our product here. And I also want to thank all of you for staying up so late to hear from us. And I also want to thank our team of 12 people who've worked very hard to produce this demo that you'll be seeing after I run through my slides. So I'm Jyotsna Mehta. I'm the founder of KEVA Health. KEVA stands for Knowledge, Evidence, Value, and Access. So we generate knowledge by building evidence and generate value that helps with reimbursement and access of drugs and pharmaceuticals. The digital solutions arm of KEVA Health is what we are presenting here. So our product is called the Advisor. The KEVA Health Advisor is a HIPAA-compliant digital platform that creates personalized care experiences for patients with chronic disease. Let's start off with the problem. As a nation, 75% of our healthcare dollars go to treatment of chronic diseases. That includes asthma, diabetes, hypertension, and so on. And these persistent conditions, the nation's leading causes of death and disability, leave in their wake deaths that could have been prevented, lifelong disability, compromised quality of life, and that ultimately leads to burgeoning healthcare costs. So asthma was KEVA's first target to create the Advisor. Does anybody in the room know of any patient or family member who has asthma? Okay, so I see a couple of hands. So 1 in 13, about 25 million patients in the US have asthma. 11.5 million patients out of those are reported as having 1 or more asthma episodes in a given year. And roughly about $82 billion are spent as far as the economic cost of asthma is concerned. So what is the solution that we have? We've produced a digital platform that engages the patients between doctor visits through an evidence-based tool. It empowers the patient by improving health outcomes, by meeting patients in their own environments, and empowers them to manage their disease condition. And lastly, it helps in reducing costs for not just the patients and the provider, but also the payer. So our product is bringing digital experience to the life sciences industry. It's a simple interface that engages patients, manages care, improves adherence. And the cool feature about this product is also the artificial intelligence or the analytics, whereby it monitors patient patterns and behavior. Our business model right now is focused on 2 customers in terms of customer segmentation. It's the self-insured employers. And secondly, our mission or our future path is to also look at pharmaceutical companies and get involved in clinical trials. We also have several channels to which we are open to collaborating or partnering with, and that includes self-insured employers, health and wellness companies, clinics, payers, and nonprofit organizations. The cost structure for the Advisor is a SaaS service model with a per member per month cost with a tiered structure. This depends on the disease as well as the number of users. Our revenue streams are currently from employers and, as I mentioned, pharmaceutical companies as well in the future. Just a little bit of an overview of what the competitive landscape looks like. So certain products or services that we have out there overemphasize on service. So your traditional medical practices, your disease management services, your clinical call centers, these end up being too costly with poor quality control, and that results in a fragmented care. On the other hand, there is an overemphasis on technology with a lot of medication monitoring devices that are standalone devices. There's medical sensors, there's EHRs with portals. The KEVA Health Advisor is one place where you can connect with the physician. You have personalized reminders, real-time care optimization, which ultimately helps with lowering costs. So with that said, what is our value proposition? Existing market solutions are focused on specific aspects of the disease. Since I'm taking the example of asthma, it could be pollen count, it could be your peak flow meters, it could be your pill reminders, and so on. Our solution combines multiple aspects of disease management all in one single digital platform with a unique rules-based engine that provides real-time care optimization, acts as a digital coach. It can monitor treatment patterns and behavior, allows for communication between the physician and the patient. And in the future, we hope that we can churn the data that comes from these apps to be able to also build economic models for drug reimbursement. So with that said, I'm going to introduce you to Jyotsna Mehta, who's the technical lead for the advisor, and he'll show you a demo.
Since we have limited time here, looking at the clock here, I'm going to just show you, like, basically we have an overall dashboard for the patient that that basically shows you, the engagement report in terms of how the patient is doing. But the first thing that happens when a patient really comes in, from an asthma standpoint, you have essentially a green, yellow, red, which is how asthma patients get managed in terms of their adherence and what they need to follow in terms of an action plan. And we basically manage cases where there's an escalation, where they're yellow and red, and then we also manage cases when they're green. So let's just go and check in as yellow. So we have designed the solution to be more like a chat type interface because that's what more and more people are really familiar with, and that's what they expect from applications today. And then in here, the patient checks in yellow. It tells them, make sure that you know what you're talking about. If you're a new patient, like, these are the symptoms that you should be having, which is why you checked in yellow. Peak flow, which is a meter that you blow into to determine your lung function. It reminds them to essentially blow into that. And when I submit it in, it basically gives me sort of an indicator that actually the 240 that I entered is really below my in my red zone, although I checked in yellow. Now, what you see as the next set of questions is all based off a completely dynamic engine. So if I had, let's say, been checking in multiple times over and over again as yellow, it might give me a different message in this case, right? So in this case, I'm going to say, yes, I'm experiencing symptoms. I'm going to specify a few symptoms here, give them a trigger, and then when I confirm, it's going to go on. And every time it goes back, the engine again processes all the data in the background and comes back with the next step. Okay, so in this case, it's telling me whether I take my quick relief medication, and I'm going to reply. I'm going to say, okay, you know what? I just took 2, and I hit submit. So generally, for demo purposes, this message comes right away. But generally, after some time, it's going to come back and ask you, hey, you took your quick relief inhaler. Has that helped you? Okay, and in this case, I'm going to say yes. And if I hit OK, it's essentially going to go back to the dashboard. Now, if I had hit no, it's going to go through a completely different path. It might ask me to look at a video of whether you're using your inhaler correctly. It might go and say, what, you need to really call your physician and change your medication because you have been checking in yellow quite a bit. So those are the different possible options that could happen. Now, if a patient checks in green, it'll ask them to do things which are the healthcare maintenance tasks. Like, for example, hey, you need to really clean your spacer on a regular basis. Or, hey, you need to fill up your asthma control questionnaire, right? Those are all things that are important, and the patient's not going to do that when they're escalated. So we try to engage them in that front. Now we have developed some analytics to try and present it as a number to a patient in terms of how they're doing with their adherence and their engagement. And so since I'm out of time, so we have pollen. We also create a graph and then allow them to share that with their physician. I don't know for questions.
Any questions? Yes. So right now we are focused on employers since that's our customer channel. So it's the employers who pay for the service to ensure their employees' healthcare. We have a tiered system, as I mentioned earlier. So it's depending on the number of users, there is a per person, per member charge. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.